Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. Today I'm talking about how to price your products. It's probably the #1 question that I get, and it seems to be a big mystery for small farmers. I think one of the reasons for that is that small farms vary so much in their expense structure. They could be renting land, they could be a very small operation, they could have a lot of debt load. So I can't give you a step-by-step way to price your products, but I can give you a general method with some specificity. I can't say this too much. Don't feel guilty about what you charge for your products. You charge what you need to charge to make a profit. The deck is stacked against small farmers because we're competing with all these giant agribusiness corporations. And of course, please subscribe to our channel. It keeps us doing what we're doing. Please like and comment. That helps us out on YouTube too. Thank you. There are 3 things that you need to know to establish your pricing. The first is you have to know your expenses. I have a whole video on that called Knowing the Numbers, a system for tracking small farm profitability that I'll put up here. But if you don't have time to go through all that, I'm going to give you a super simple way to do it for each animal on your farm. There are 3 main categories to your expenses: animal purchase, feed for the animal, and butcher costs. Let's pick an animal that's really simple to grow, broiler chicken. Here and gone in 8 weeks. Okay. Animal purchase. Broilers cost us $1.50 a piece, shipped to our door day old. $1.50. Feed. In 8 weeks we feed a broiler 11.5 pounds of feed, say it's 20 cents a pound. That comes out to $2.30 to grow out that broiler. Last category, butcher. Going rate around here to butcher a broiler is $3.75. Add them all up and round them off, $7.50 to grow that bird. Average chicken that we grow here is 4.5 pounds dress weight, so if we do the division, that winds up being $1.65 per pound. Now you know your expenses, but that's only part of the story. In fact, it's only 1/3 of the story. Part 2 is you need to know how much your competitors are charging. And to do that, you need to gather intelligence. Before we ever started selling at the farmers markets, I went down to the main farmers market here and wrote down what all the other vendors were charging for their meats, so I knew what range of prices I was dealing with. You can think of it this way: when you're figuring out your expenses, you're working from the top down. You're knowing what it costs you to grow an animal. When you gather intelligence on what other farmers are charging, you're working from the bottom up, and you're finding out what the range is that you can ultimately get for what you're growing. You want to fill in to that middle space by understanding the third part of the equation. And the third part of the equation is you need to know how much income you want to make off the farm. For Hillary and I, this is a full-time occupation. We make all of our income from this farm. Now, if this YouTube channel ever strikes gold like PewDiePie or the Stony Ridge guy, heck, I'm just going to go out and throw some hay bales around and have y'all watch and rake in the money. We won't need to farm anymore. But for now, we're making all of our income from the farm. Your situation may be very different. You could be just a part-time farmer farming in the hours that you're not at work. You need a different set of income requirements. You may be farming just to get the tax break, enough money to fill out your Schedule F and get all those federal tax breaks that are available. Your situation will dictate how much profit you need to make. So here are the 3 things: expenses, what other folks are charging, and what income you need to make. By knowing these 3 things, you can make an informed decision on what to charge for your products. Like I said, once you know your expenses and you know what other farmers are charging and you know what profit you'd like to make, you're still not there. There is no formula that you can plug that into and come out with an answer. In the end, it's a judgment call on your part. You have to consider things like Am I growing a niche product where I can get a higher price for what I'm charging because there isn't any competitor at the market that's truly doing what I'm doing? And also, on the other hand, is there a lot of what I'm selling at market? Is the market so flooded with the same product that it's driving the prices down? And can I be competitive at those prices? And remember, your prices aren't set in stone. You can always adjust them later. In fact, at the beginning of this year, we adjusted our pork prices because we just weren't making enough money off of pork. And after a month of selling them at those prices, our customers haven't said a word. So your customers have some sympathy and understand the trials of small farming, and they'll follow you along if they like your product. On the other hand, you also have to take into account supply and demand. And here's an example we're experiencing right now. In the wintertime, we always have an overage of eggs. And in previous years, we've given those eggs to charity. The reason for the overage is there's only one market a week for us in the winter instead of the usual 3 in the summer. But our hens are laying a lot of eggs starting right now in January and going up right through June. So what do? Well, previously we've sold what we can and given the rest to charity. This year we tried dropping the price of a dozen eggs by $1, and it's actually worked out better for us. We're selling so many more dozens of eggs that we're actually taking in more income, and we're not sending any to charity. Donating to charity is a great thing, but I need to think about my bottom line first because money's really tight on a small farm. My egg example leads me to what I call the expense profit sweet spot. And here's the range. At the bottom of the range, you can grow a lot of product and sell it for a small profit for a total profit of, say, this many, 5. You can also sell a small amount of product at a very high cost and make my same 5 profit, $5, $5,000, whatever it is. In either example I've given, you're at the extreme ends of the spectrum, producing a lot and selling for a small profit, or producing a little and selling for a large profit. You don't want to be at either end. You want to be in the middle someplace, and that's what I call the profit sweet spot. I think of customer habits like a bell curve. You get some that are looking for just the cheapest product at the cheapest price. You have most of the people in the middle of the bell curve that are looking for the best value, which is the best product for the best price. And then you've got people at the other end of the bell curve that are looking for the very, very best niche-y product at an expensive price. We try to exist in the center of the bell curve. That's where the most customers are. That's where we're going to make the most sales. And one last thing about this spectrum that I've talked about on quantity of products versus profit. If you're setting out to grow the maximum amount of product and cutting your profit margins so you can sell the cheapest, you're going to be running awful fast on that treadmill producing products. It's a lot easier to exist toward the middle of the spectrum so that you don't have to grow as much, don't have to run as fast on the treadmill, and you can make more profit per sale. All right, enough on the dynamics of supply and demand. Once you've started selling at market and you're accumulating data about how your farm is doing financially, you can apply what I call the 3 times rule. You should be charging 3 times what your direct expense was. Remember, animal purchase, feed, and butcher, we came out to $1.65 a pound for a broiler. If your farm's doing well, you should be charging 3 times that. And 1/3 of that is that direct expense. 1/3 of it's your overhead expenses, property taxes, insurance, farm infrastructure, and machinery. And 1/3 of it is income. Now this 1/3 income shouldn't be confused with 1/3 profit. It's not. It's paying you for the labor that you spend on the farm. And this is where you make your living, in this 1/3 income. This pays for your living expenses. This 1/3 income can't be confused with profit. If it were 1/3 profit, you'd be in the golden land and you'd probably be charging too much for your products. This is your labor. This is what pays you your hourly wage. So, applying this 3 times rule, $1.65 a pound in direct expenses times 3 is about $5 per pound that I should be charging for that broiler. I feel like I can't mention this too many times, and that is, don't compare your prices to the supermarket. You're under a completely different economic model. You're not growing products that are equivalent to the supermarket. Vertical integration in corporate farming is killing small farms, and you can't exist on that playing field. Their expenses are so much different. In fact, when I take a pig to the butcher, I pay more per pound just to have it butchered than the cost at the supermarket for pork. This is all about as clear as mud, and that's as clear as it's going to get. Properly pricing your products is more of an art than anything else. Just remember my 2 sets of 3s. The first 3, know your expenses, know what your competitors are charging, and know what profit you need to make. The second set of 3s is that your total product price should be 1/3 direct expenses, 1/3 farm overhead, and 1/3 paying for your labor and giving you your income. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.